Hi, welcome again. Um, last time I have left at the textbook definition of economics, where I have mentioned the market mechanism aspect, basically, and I have described the market is according to mainstream economics idea, the most important aspect of the existing economic system. That's why the existing economic system is called market economy. The more popular name of the existing economic system, which is capitalism, is actually takes its root from another aspect of our economic system, which is found important by a different school, which is basically the fact that capital, the large amount of wealth that is able to govern the production process, is dominant and the organizing factor in the economic system. And as the markets are dominant, of course, the people who have more buying power through capital, excessive amount of wealth available to them, are dominant in the system, which is obvious. So both are important aspects of the system, but different views put emphasis on different sides of the existing economic system. That's the difference between the different schools. And mainstream school is dominant, so the dominant school is basically assuming market is the institution is the most important aspect of the economic system. Anyway, what is left? The left thing is how the choices made by the individuals. So the at least in the mainstream economics, the individual decisions, not institutions, but separate individuals, separate agents, are actually studied. So the social dynamics as well as the institutions. For example, a company with many individuals separately acting in it are relatively not that much important. Understanding individuals, their wills, is enough to understand economics according to this view, at least at its core. And by efficient means is also kind of the argument of a school, actually. Not every economic school of economics in academia agree that market is able to transform, direct those resources to production of specific commodities and then distribute those commodities in most efficient way, in the way that is most beneficial for the overall society. But mainstream economics basically has this argument. I mean, it's based on the argument that market is able to do this in the efficient way, basically. So that's how the definition comes from. Basically, this definition comes. And here we can also talk. Let me move the video of myself. Well, the resources that are taught in the system are basically labor, which is basically the ability of humans to transform natural resources to other resources. So the one resource the humans own, actually, it is the part of human being. You cannot even think labor just as power. It's the thoughts of the human, even emotions of the humans can be part of the labor, especially when you're talking about non-physical labor. Creativity of a human, for example, for an artist or a scientist or even for an engineer, might take its roots from the feelings, thoughts, things like that. So labor is kind of part of the human being's society. Natural resources are provided by the nature, which you might think that basically we don't have any effect on them. Nature gives us them. Alternatively, you might think that maybe our activity is changing nature, and basically what nature gives us is affected of how we treat nature. That's what you an alternative. I mean, approach you can take. And then natural resources, capital. In mainstream economics, in different schools, it can mean something different, but in mainstream economics, capital is basically taught as the machinery and the tools, which are also produced by labor and natural resources, by the way, but taken as a separate type of resource that could be used in the production process. So labor is, in that sense, I mean, even in its most broadest definition, I mean, one of the three major resources the humanity has. And how this resource is created and how it is managed is actually part of the labor economics. Of course, the mainstream approach is dominant in understanding or actually looking upon the labor in the academia. And it will be also dominant in this course, basically. I have an alternative course called Marxian Economics, where you can see the overall Marxian approaches also if you want, and also feminist economics, where also certain other aspects of labor is studied. But anyway, let's go further. Well, one thing we can tell on the market economy is actually well, kind of the overall approach acts as if the whole economic system is a big market and act like that. And the economic system in the world and in different nations started to evolve to an economic system that resembles a market economy has started in 18th century. But starting with 1850s, this huge market start to be regulated, and certain institutions start to be effective in it. The quality of the certain resources, as well as, for example, working time for the workers, the amount you can sell of your labor power, those things, or environmental concerns, not globally maybe, but for example, how much you can pollute a river that flows through a city, starts to be regulated in the mid 19th century. And after 1945, basically, in the new economic system, the regulated market economy is in place. Those regulations partially have been dismantled in 1970s, but still, I mean, they don't go back. The system doesn't go back all the way to mid 19th century. Still, a significant amount of those regulations are still in place. In current academic studies, market economy is almost always the focus of economics. Whatever is the school mentioned, feminist economics or environmental school or Marxist school or Keynesian school, all focus on market economy or capitalism. There are some studies, but those are basically kind of side studies which focus on alternative national or global economic systems like socialism or feudalism, basically. So that should be one point. I mean, market economy is focus of economics. And these are the major dividing lines in economics. Neoclassical school, which argues market almost always produces best possible results, which also follow the idea, which also end up with having mostly models where you have an equilibrium point where something else starts disruption, and market brings you to the best possible points. Almost always, although there are crossing lines between these schools. So some neoclassicals might think like neo-Keynesians, some neo-Keynesians like neoclassicals, for example. But this is a roughly, I think, accurate definition. Neo-Keynesians, they think market almost always best possible results, but not fast enough sometimes. So some interventions or some regulations might actually make the market work faster. So the benchmark models are usually with short-run equilibrium and long-run equilibrium, and how some intervention may speed up going from long-run equilibrium, going to long-run equilibrium in a shorter time period. So neoclassical and new Keynesian school is pretty much dominant, although some post-Keynesians have become also very famous now. And there's actually a very separate group called institutionalists, which are also becoming famous today, who believe institutions need to be studied. Institutions are ignored in economic studies, basically. So studying just individual choices is not enough. The institutions' effect in the economy is also important. While post-Keynesians argue the market by itself doesn't produce best possible results, so interventions and regulations might be important. So the idea that institutions, the way institutions are organized, is important. You should is actually very close to this idea. So the market, whether the market runs good or not, depends on available institutions, including your state in your country, which post-Keynesians will probably, many of them will agree. So post-Keynesians like, for example, double equilibrium, where with regulations or with better institutions, you can go to a better point with the same market mechanism, while without regulations or good institutions, you can go to the inferior point. While they also study, for example, cycles, and well, those things are dominant, by the way. I mean, dominant thing in the. I mentioned dominant thing in their models. Each make use of other type of models. So neoclassicals have cycles, or Marxists have also equilibrium points. But the central models are basically based on what I'm mentioning in each case. So they have cycles where it shows the economic system periodically create crises and good times and bad times, and how those cycles the cycles can be less severe. I mean, you can make the depressions less severe. So you, in a way, I mean, press the cycles. So maybe good times are a little bit more, less good, but also the bad times are not that bad also. And instead you consider on trend. I mean, you try to create a high rate of growth, for example, a stable high rate of growth, not wild fluctuations. While Marxists mostly argue, even with intervention, the market is a source of big problems, and those problems become more and more severe. So market is economy, or capitalism is like a building in a way, and at some point, any repair or anything you do has its limits. Well, some Marxists think that in the short run it can work, and it might be worth to discuss short run remedies, but in the long run, any repair will have its limits, and at some point the economic system should be changed to a different economic system. So Marxists are, in the Marxian analysis, trends are more dominant. I mean, where the system is going overall is more dominant, basically. Although, as I said, there are crossing lines between those four schools, both in terms of methodology and in terms of also viewpoints, but very, very roughly, this is the framework. So, methods of economics. Statistics is almost always dominant methods, and even there is a specific field that is applying, as many of you know, econometrics. There are some alternative methods which are used relatively less, like historical analysis, surveys, group studies, and experiments. And I will talk a little bit more on the statistics, but we are very close to 15 minutes mark, so let me start doing that in the next video. So see you in the next video.